And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here as we get ready for knockout qualifying for our 17th race of the season here in the second season of the NCRA Hersheys Cup Series. You are not seeing things. We are at a dirt track. This is the Springfield Mile, also known as Illinois State Fairgrounds. I was looking to see where we were going to go next. Next track on the schedule was actually going to be Tennessee Superspeedway. We raced there last year, and then we followed it up with back-to-back restricted plate races. However, I thought to myself, we're going to be going to another restricted plate track next week. We're going to be going to Watkins Glen in a couple of weeks. Why don't we put in another dirt track? And that's what we're going to do, is that's why we're dirt track racing here at the Springfield Mile. So definitely going to be very interesting to see what happens in this race. We had a great race back at Bristol Dirt. As we're looking at Jessica Shelton, the first car out on track, and I believe now is going to complete the first lap time. Boy, that car is bouncing up and down. It must be a very bumpy ride out there. Good grief. Imagine what's going to happen. We're going to have 42 cars here. I mean, look at the dust that car is kicking up there. It's got to be huge visibility problems. Side by side there with Levi McIntire. See how Levi does with a car on the bottom, a car up top. They're able to race side by side anyway. As Shelton, 27.242, but Stephanie Gardner right now is the fastest car on track. And then second place is last week's winner, two-time winner this season, Zachary Fitzwater, and Anthony McCrury just jumped to the top of the leaderboard. And now Joshua Ciculli, top of the leaderboard. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of speeds we can expect here, as Cody Llamas appears to be slowing. And now he gets into the throttle, and I guess he's coming to pit road. Never mind. I thought maybe he was going to merge onto the racetrack, but apparently not. We're looking here at John Gilbert and Keith Batson, 5th place right now for Gilbert, and 13th right now for Keith Batson in 73. Ryan Madden has jumped to the top of the leaderboard now. There's Seth Cole, new colors on the 80 car out of Seth Cole Baker Motorsports. Liberty University sponsoring him for a number of races this season. And Shelton, who was the first car out, just jumped back up to the top of the leaderboard. 26.817. As soon as I say that, well, some drivers just hit 26.7. That was McCrury and Srigley. Ryan Madden now back to the top of the leaderboard with a 26.572. Keep in mind, Ryan Madden, a teammate to Kyle Keith, ended up giving over his charter to Keith to make the race last week at Phoenix. Right now, the fastest here in this session, right in front of him, Garrett Sydnor is second fastest now with 26.688 he just ran. Minute 30 remaining right now. Zachary Fitzwater sits on the bubble spot with a 26.926. Just ahead of him, Dillon Young. Got Tellier on the outside looking in, and now that 12th position getting swapped around. Dillon Young sat there for a moment. Now Dillon Poteet does, and now Stephanie Gardner is put down there. Oh, they are swapping 12 like crazy. Now Zachary Stoltz sits at 12. Dillon Young currently sits out, along with Stephanie Gardner. They were just in moments ago, and now Stoltz is out. And Poteet is put in that 12th position. Now Fitzwater, good grief, that 12th position. That might as well be the battle for the lead, good grief. And Ryan Madden just got his lap time beaten for the fastest lap in this session. 26.558 laid down by the 47 of Josh Ciculli. Let's see if we can find him. Chartered right out of William Rock Motorsports, and there he is. Pat Tellier now is in the bubble spot, 12th place. Fitzwater now out. Trent Dunham also out. They were in just moments ago. So was Stoltz, so was Dillon Young, so was Stephanie Gardner, but they're all now kind of scattered between 13th to 18th. And now John Gilbert dropped to 12th place. Zeros on the clock. They are going to have 30 seconds if they Got to complete a lap. Gilbert just was eliminated. Now Shelton is in the 12th position. Gallighan jumped up to 11th. Ciculli still the fastest on track. 10 seconds remaining. Shelton trying to hang on to that final transfer spot into round 2 of qualifying. Has about a 10th in the bank between herself, John Gilbert, Seth Cole, Kat Tellier, Zachary Fitzwater, Trent Dunham, Zachary Stoltz, Dillon Young, all there in the 26.8s. And Ciculli just had his lap time beaten by Dillon Poteet. And I believe the session will now come to a close. Dillon Poteet just put down the fastest lap of the session. With very little time remaining, 26.461. Dillon Poteet, our winner at Richmond. And there you go. Session is complete, and the drivers that will transfer into the second round of qualifying will be as follows. Dillon Poteet, Joshua Ciculli, Ryan Madden, Anthony McCrury, James Qualls, Austin Mongold, Brandon Gonzales, Levi McIntire, Garrett Sydnor, Aaron Henderson, Shaun Gallighan, and Jessica Shelton. Out of those 12 drivers, 4 of them are non-chartered rides: Qualls, Mongold, Sydnor, and Henderson. So if we have more than 3 drivers in our second heat transfer into the next round of qualifying, then that means that someone will move into round 2 but will be going home. If we do also have more than 3 drivers move their way into the next round of qualifying from heat number 2, that means that officially John Gilbert, Seth Cole, Zachary Stoltz, Stephanie Gardner, Keith Batson, Elijah Gordon, Matthew Dallio, and O'Neill Balvin will miss the race. So that does it for our first heat race. Dillon Poteet with a 26.4 is the top of the leaderboard for this first heat. Let's go to the second heat now, find out what 12 drivers will also transfer into round number 2 of qualifying here at the Springfield Mile. So now we'll get ready here for our second 5-minute session. And Dillon Poteet really showing off some speed here in the last few weeks of qualifying, pretty much ever since he went to victory lane back at Richmond. First car off, Zach Rogers, who started on the pole position last week at Darlington, or not Darlington, Phoenix, sorry. Trying to start on his second straight pole position. He started on the pole at Phoenix, and I think he finished top 10. I might be wrong in that, but I think he did. No, actually, no, he didn't. He got involved in a wreck. But that's another driver that's really stepped it up as far as qualifying the last few weeks. Qualified well 2 weeks ago at Darlington, then of course, as you said, just started on the pole position last weekend at Phoenix. So a lot of speed been found in that 39 car out of Bulldog Motorsports, and trying to find it here again today at the Springfield Mile. 27.235 first lap time laid down in this second heat. Look at the dust and the dirt kicked up there. How are these drivers even able to see? Let's take a hot lap on board the 39 car. Just see what the visibility is. On the straightaways, when they get into the turns, that's really when the dust gets kicked up. And one thing that I did too while we were on board with Zach Rogers was listen to the engine. They're not really lifting that much when they go into the corner. They're almost going full throttle into the corner. So apparently there's enough grip there. They're able to get enough wheel slide to be able to make these turns. Zach Rogers right now the fastest on track. Tim Walch was for just a brief moment. 26.672, but now Zach Rogers with a 26.656. Back to the top of the score charts. JT Bryant 3rd, 4th Joshua Michaels, and John Cittadino 5th. Just ahead there, Davey Johnson, Dallas McIntosh. Oh, little contact right there between the 16 and the 39. Almost like a bump and run. It's a wonder that the 16 didn't get spun around, because this is dirt. This is not asphalt. This is not concrete. There's not nearly as much grip on these kind of tracks as there are at those tracks with the pavement surface. Slightest contact and your car could wheel spin and go around on you. Tim Walsh said, "Not so fast, Zach Rogers. I'm going to put myself back at the top of the score charts." Trying to find that 5 car with not very much success. Let's do it this way then. There he is. And Zach Rogers, as soon as we go to Tim Walsh, Zach Rogers back to the top of the leaderboard. But we documented last week about Nathan Hudson in qualifying, how good that car was, and how the Michael Lohr Motorsports cars in general have really found a lot of speed in the past couple of weeks. Well, Tim Walsh showing that off here in the Kellogg Chevrolet. And he jumped back up to the top of the leaderboard. 32.323. 2 drivers have hit the 26 threes. And keep in mind, Dillon Poteet's fastest lap in the first heat race was a 26.461. So that just shows you how much more speed is being found with these drivers being able to observe what was going on in the first heat race. Holy cow, 26.177 for Tim Walsh. I'll be shocked if anybody beats that. Wow, Joe Rockingham hit the 26.2s. So the 84 out of nowhere puts down a lightning fast lap time. Charles Sandfer just jumped up to the 5th position. And in that battle for 12th is Joshua Michaels, who holds it right now. Dallas McIntosh on the outside looking in. And look who's inside the top 12 for once. Kyle Keefe. Maybe going to make this race on his own. Not going to need a charter from one of his teammates. We'll see. About 20 seconds remaining here if anybody's going to make a last-minute lap time. And Tim Walsh just, well, nope, they didn't score him. So that might be it for the scoring of laps. Which means it looks like Joshua Michaels might get the final transfer spot into the next round of qualifying, our Daytona 500 pole sitter. And there we go. Session is indeed complete. Sorry for that brief cut right there. I had my dad talking to me. But the drivers that will transfer into the next round of qualifying are as follows. Tim Walsh, 26.177. That is the fastest lap time so far today. Joe Rockingham with a 26.2. Along with Zach Rogers, JT Bryant, 2-time winner Charles Sandfer, Jason Heywood, Noah Kars, Rocco Twyman, John Arndt, James McCloud, Kyle Keefe, for the first time in a number of weeks, makes it into the second round of qualifying, and Joshua Michaels will get the final transfer spot to battle in round number 2. 4 go-or-go-home drivers ended up transferring in our first heat. In this heat, we have had 7 drivers transfer their way in, including Rockingham, Rogers, Heywood, Kars, Twyman, McCloud, and Keith, which means that 11 non-chartered go-or-go-home drivers are moving into the second round of qualifying, and that will mean that 4 of them will be going home after the second round is complete. So, don't go away. Coverage continues here of knockout qualifying from the Springfield Mile. We'll be right back. Let's actually show you the rest of your lineup as well. Also, before I go, drivers that officially will not start this race at this point include Johnny Gardner, Davey Johnson, John Cittadino, Marie Minobi, Pichu London, Dougie Shears, Daniel Olson, John Andrews, Marty Johnson, and Holden Gluba. There we go. Okay, now on to the next round of qualifying. So as we get ready here for round number 2, we've got 2 different races going on. We've got drivers that are obviously trying to battle to get into the top 12 in speeds to move on to the final round of qualifying in an attempt to start on the pole position for tomorrow's points-paying race here, but also 11 go-or-go-home drivers battling for 7 available spots in the starting lineup. Brandon Gonzales and the fastest in our first heat of the first round of qualifying, Dillon Poteet of the first 2 off track. We should have pretty good battles tomorrow, including points battles, because after his second win of the season last week at Phoenix, Zachary Fitzwater has pulled to within 1 point of the current Hersheys Cup Series points leader, Kyle Matthews. So that'll be a very interesting battle tomorrow, to be sure. Brandon Gonzales through turns 3 and 4. Let's see what the first lap time laid down here in this round will be. And it's going to be a 27.574 for the Mitsubishi Lancer. Very quickly beaten by Dillon Poteet, but only by about 4/100ths. Poteet ran a 26.461 in the first heat. A number of drivers beat that in the second heat, including Tim Walch with the 26.177. And Shaun Gallighan, top of the leaderboard at this point, in the 48 car out of Sega Motorsports. Mentioned that Kyle Keith moved on to this round in the 42 car, and having to rely on his teammates, like the car we're looking at right there, Ryan Madden, to qualify high enough for him to be able to get into the points-paying races in his attempt to get into the top 30 in the point stands, which he's getting really close to, actually. He didn't have a great finish last week at Phoenix, but his finish at Darlington really shot him up there in the point stands. He's getting close. He's whittling away bit by bit with each race that he makes. He's also getting, I guess we can kind of say, close to Cole Baker as far as battling for Rookie of the Year honors, but he's still 30 points back in that standing. So, looking at the current fastest car on track, Noah Cars in the 42. Former winner in the Hersheys Cup Series last season. I believe that win ended up coming at Martinsville Speedway. Made the chase last season. This season, the go-or-go-home driver has missed out on several races. I think he's maybe only made 1 or 2 races so far this season. Right now, looking really good. He's the top car on track with a 26.595, which he just laid down. See if he can beat his own lap time here. Got about a 4/100ths advantage between himself and second place on the charts, Joshua Michaels. That time ran about 2/10ths slower than his fastest lap, 26.7. Right now, as things stand, the 4 drivers that would not transfer into the race would include Rocco Twyman, Kyle Keith, Zach Rogers, and Austin Mongold. And right now, the only driver that's a hope for Kyle Keith would be his teammate Shaun Gallighan, as far as being able to have a charter swap. Gallighan has jumped up to the 5th position at this current point in time. And now it's swapped around a bit. The 4 drivers now that wouldn't transfer would be, well, nope, it's actually still about the same, except Twyman jumped up to 13th. He's now, I think it would be 8th fastest out of the go-or-go-home drivers. But right now, Noah Carr is looking really good. That 26.595 holding up, but it's only 6/1000ths faster than Jason Heywood. There's James Qualls up there as well in the 26.6s. He's only, what, 9/1000ths off the fastest lap now? So 9/1000 separate the top 3 right now. All 3 go-or-go-homers, Cars, Heywood, and Qualls. Mongold just jumped up into the top 10. And Tim Walsh right now in the final transfer position in 12th place. 20 seconds to go. Now the drivers in danger of not moving on and being in the main event would be Twyman, Rockingham, Kyle Keith and Zach Rogers. Where's Shaun Gallighan? He's 7th. Kyle Keith needs Gallighan to stay in that top 7 if he's going to have a shot at making the main event. Gallighan with a 26.684, so it looks like he's in pretty good shape. And Noah Cars, Seattle Seahawks Chevrolet out of Redline Racing, showing a lot of speed here in this second round of qualifying, and he will be the fastest in this session. I believe the session has now come to a close. The lap times no longer counted. As we will hit zeros on the clock, let's take a look and see what the end result is. Noah Cars, Jason Heywood, James Qualls, Charles Sandfer, Joshua Michaels, James McCloud, Shaun Gallighan, Garrett Sydnor, Levi McIntire, Austin Mongold, Anthony McCrury, and the fastest in the second heat of round 1, Tim Walch. They will all move on to the next round of qualifying. Joe Rockingham jumped up to 13th, and that's going to get him into the main event. The 4 drivers that will not be racing in the main event: Aaron Henderson dropped to 14th late, so he will not be racing in the main event. Neither will Rocco Twyman. Kyle Keith is the lowest, is down there 10th of the 11 go or go home drivers in speed. Zach Rogers the slowest, so he will not race regardless. Kyle Keith, his saving grace is the fact that Shaun Gallighan was 7th fastest in this session, so Kyle Keith will race in the main event with the charter from the 48 car. So very, very lucky. I'll tell you what, those Sega Motorsports teammates, they come to Kyle Keith's rescue, it seems, every single week. Whether it's Trent Dunham, Shaun Gallighan, or Ryan Madden, they always seem to be able to find a way to help Kyle Keith in his quest to get to the top 30 in points. So that is going to be the way that it is for the second round of qualifying. Now it's time to find out who's going to start on the pole position for this race. As I look here through the field, I see 3 former pole sitters so far this season: Sandfer, Michaels, and McIntyre. We'll see if one of those 3 will be starting on the pole position, or will we have a new pole sitter for this season here in the Hersheys Cup. Don't go away. Final round of qualifying coming up next here at the Springfield Mile. So as we get ready for our third and final round of qualifying, I just want to clear something up here that I might have said something incorrect in the last round. I think I said that Joe Rockingham locked himself into the race. That is actually incorrect because of the fact that the charter swap between Shaun Gallighan and Kyle Keith went on. Gallighan gets in on speed, Keith gets in via charter, and so therefore the next driver up, that is a go or go home driver, is eliminated from the race. So the swap puts Joe Rockingham as the 8th fastest of 11 go or go home drivers and puts him in the elimination spot. So he will not be in the main event. The 4 drivers that did not transfer to the main event from round 2 of qualifying were Joe Rockingham, Aaron Henderson, Rocco Twyman, and Zach Rogers. Just wanted to get that cleared out of the way because I think I said Joe Rockingham was in the race when indeed, due to the charter swap, he is not. We're looking here at Levi McIntire, 2-time pole sitter this season. His most recent pole 2 weeks ago at Darlington, when he and Emmanuel Hartnett had to go to a 4th round of qualifying. I hope we're not going to have to do that again, but hey, it's the Hersheys Cup Series, you never know. So far, Garrett Sydnor now the fastest on track, and then Tim Walch, then McIntyre, who we're looking at. Noah Cars also has laid down a lap time, as has Joshua Michaels. And both McIntyre and Walch have hit the 27 zeros. Walch with a 0.56, McIntyre a 0.97, and Sydnor will hit the 26s with a 26.8. Look at all that. Look at all that dirt and dust kicked up there out of turn number 4. Can you imagine if cars are wrecking up ahead of you, having to drive through that and trying to avoid carnage that's happening in front of you? We're going to see it later on this weekend. 26.8 flat for the Nationwide Chevrolet out of CJ Racing, Garrett Sydnor. And as soon as I jump to, I don't know what it is, as soon as I jump to a driver that is up there at the top of the charts, somebody always seems to beat his lap time. And Joshua Michaels just did that with a 26.731. Sydnor just hit the 26.7s as well, 26.750. James McCloud up there in the third position, and he just dropped to fifth. Noah Cars and Jason Heywood, who were first and second in round 2 in speeds. They're now third and fourth here in round 3. So far this season, I think we've had two-time pole sitters, Levi McIntire being one. The other one, I'm trying to remember who it was, and I can't seem to pull it in. I know there was at least one other one. Maybe it was James Richardson? I don't remember. I can look it up after this is over. But, regardless, Joshua Michaels trying to become the third two-time pole sitter this season. He qualified on the pole for the Great American Race Daytona 500. Right now, 26.546, make it 505. As he's at the top of the leaderboard right now. And it's Sydnor and James McCloud with 26.7s. And 26.8s for Heywood, Cars, Walch, and Qualls. 26.3 for Joshua Michaels. And there might have been some contact right there between Noah Cars and Jason Heywood. Heywood appeared to move up just a little bit more in that corner, as if there may have been some contact with his left front to Noah Cars' right rear, but so far we're okay. And just look at that. Look at it. You can't even see Heywood and Shaun Gallighan back behind these two right now. It's just so much of a visibility problem. Look at Michaels. Very easily clearing Noah Cars there. That car's dialed in. And I don't think there's anybody going to be able to touch that lap time. He's 4/10 faster than Garrett Sydnor. I don't think anyone's going to be able to beat a 26.3. I think you're looking right there at your pole sitter for this race. And Michaels will be taking his second pole of the season. Yet to win still in the Hersheys Cup Series here in Season 2. Former winner last season at Pocono. And the session has now come to a close. 30 seconds for cool down, and Joshua Michaels will be your pole sitter for this week's race at the Springfield Mile. He'll start alongside of rookie Garrett Sydnor. Row 2 will be James McCloud and James Qualls. Jason Heywood, Noah Cars will make up row 3. Shaun Gallighan, Tim Walch in row 4. Levi McIntire and Austin Mongold row 5. And row 6, the defending champion Anthony McCrury and two-time winner Charles Sandfer. So, that's going to do it here for knockout qualifying from the Springfield Mile.
Drivers,
our points paying race is the next thing on the schedule, and it'll be interesting to see. It's the first time these drivers will be racing at this track in the Hersheys Cup Series. They look like they really like the track here in qualifying. We'll have to see during race conditions what will be happening. So anyway, thank you all so much for tuning into this knockout qualifying session. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to Compare with the Crew today. Check down in the description. That will show you your official starting lineup for this race. And until next time, you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.